from Salvation with the Witch Doctor for Lloyd. Like, that lane does not sound fun to play into no matter what hero you're playing here.
It's a very silly hero at the moment. How do you pronounce that Gree-Gree thing? Is it Gree-Gree?
I say Gris, but I don't think that's correct.
Gris.
But I like saying Gris. My teammates love memeing on me every time I pick Witch Doctor 2. Like, you've got the Gris. It's like, yeah, I have Gris. What about it? Oh, you got it. It's like, okay, guys. Chill out.
Well, why did you get the Gris, John?
I can't not get it. I wish I could. What are you calling me names now? Then again, I am a Witch Doctor player. So I suppose I deserve it. Yeah, I've been playing Witch Doctor for a long time, but I guess I deserve it, you know?
Especially
my bad.
If you lost with Witch Doctor. If you lose with Witch Doctor done, you really deserve it. How dare you?
Yeah, that I would agree. Actually, if you lose with this guy right now. Hey, what does that say? Are you saying something about Salvation if they lose this one, Mike?
Yeah, I am. I'll say it to his face. I don't give a crap. I'll say it to Lloyd's face. So, right? Needs to back off, I think, here. He'll go for a nice little cogs out and up a fair bit of damage, but we'll be okay. It is going to be a 3-for-1 trade on the bounty, so in favor of Salvation Gaming. So a very nice start. Never mind, I'm colorblind. It is indeed 2-for-2 in the favor of nobody because it is 2-for-2. So thank you for that, Jonathan. I appreciate you correcting me.
No problem.
I'm literally sure none of the viewers would have noticed I was wrong, but I appreciate you pointing out that I was.
No. I'm sure someone would have been there. I think, Mike, you were talking about eye surgery earlier. It's time to consider it. And the age is catching up to you.
It's literally ever since I had this damn baby. I'll tell you, all my health has gone down the toilet.
You can't blame your life on the active decision you made to have a child, Mike. That's not how parentage works.
If my parents did, I will too, John.
Well, one thing we can see, I'm sure you're not colorblind to the color of Ember up against this OD down mid lane for Wonderboy and Young PH. You can already see Young PH, he does go for the chain gang, right? So he has some good reach. He's got additional control to leverage for the team. And at the very least, the Flame Guard, can do some damage shoving out this wave. But I don't think you're ever comfy in this lane for Young PH. Wonderboy just, he right-clicks you, he Astral Imprisons you, you don't feel great. The rune control is much more important as well for Young PH. That's something we need to see Yangon be on top of down the line. We'll see if that's something they have the space to rotate out for. Taking a look at the other lanes, of course, down bot, we did see Ha and Skill late on that center of Dark Willow, up against Young God on the Ursa and Lloyd on the Witch Doctor. This lane is very painful once Lloyd hits level 2. Probably level 3 is the better point, with a value point perhaps in the cask just to help hold down for Young God, but running down with Maledict, with Fury Swipes, these heroes will just die. You caught Maledict, you have to TP out. Love it.
I didn't even have any mana to keep the food restoration going. You just skill A's like, no thank you, I'm out. I ain't risking that crap. What a stupid hero. It hits level 2 and you just can't be hero.
Yeah. You know what I'm hoping for? They nerf the Voodoo Festeration and they give the Cleft Ward a buff. Then you'll see some funny stuff as well. You'll have all your Witch Doctors rushing Ags.
Amazing. Thank you, John.
Okay. Enough about that excitement.
No, not yet. We're not done quite yet, John. This Gris crap. It tells you how much gold that Lloyd's able to get off it.
Yeah.
I can't believe we got this before we could tell who's got what neutral item options. Like, they couldn't give us the options for the neutral items. But hey, we can tell how much Gris gold Lloyd's going to get.
Hey, Mike. Who cares about what the casters can or cannot see, okay? Who cares? I don't. I don't care what we can see or not see. It is what it is. Gris. Good stuff. And as you could see, gold anyway. What are you talking about? We could do that before with track. What are you talking about? Track shows you current gold as well on enemy heroes, alright? Get your head out of gutter. Start thinking properly. This is Dota 2, Mike. This is the road to the international, alright? Top lane, last lane we haven't looked at here. Tish and Zarain on a very stable troll clockwork lane up against Rupido on his Fangolier. And Drick on that Snapfire does have full bore, of course, as you'd expect. This is probably the most boring lane. There is some kill potential if you do manage to isolate with Clockwork, but with Swash, Rukudo shouldn't be under any sort of threat. Kish should just be fine as well to farm up. So very static up top. Bot is where it can get explosive. And I like this movement out. They do manage to sneak away one water rune, but the Young PH will still get the top up on the other side. And that is keeping this lane playable for Young PH. It's not as overwhelming of a start for Wonder Boy. Young PH doing a fine job of just harassing out with the Slight, sustaining the Flame Guard, and clearing out these creep waves every single time. Does make it a little bit tougher for the OD to leverage, but once he hits 6, if he gets a good power rune as well, can get a little bit dicey.
Is that why they chose Snapfire? So he can scatter, he can little shredder the cogs? Was that it?
Perhaps.
Like he went level 2 little shredder. And you should have seen how quickly he used it once those cogs came out. He was so excited. Yeah, he was like, finally, like, look at this, look at this. Holy, oh my goodness. He made a whole 18 gold out of that. In fact, make that 38. 38 gold. Value for Drick.
Very value. It's almost like we're seeing, you know, this feels like the kind of counter pick you'd get. Like we were theory crafting Marcy versus Monkey King. This feels like that kind of counter pick. It's like, yeah, you know, it technically works. Is it worth picking this hero for? Not 100% sold in that yet. A little bit of a rotation mid. Not going to be able to really pressure out this OD, but it is giving Young PH, again, some breathing room here. He is still working this lane well. Slight CS lead in terms of last hits overall. Every time I see Drick, he's just clearing the cogs.
Yeah.
You're right.
I think
this is all he wants.
Literally level up little shredder so he can do this, John. I mean, you know what? I mean, it's a way to kind of counter Clockwork, right? Level 2 cogs means nothing if they just get shredded down by Drick every time.
That's true. Yeah, that's just like picking Marcy for the Monkey King. So they can't assassinate the courier. I swear if we see that, Mikey, I'll never shut up about it. Not now. Maybe next game.
I'll give you full credit if it actually works. I'll tell you right now, I'll give you full credit.
It's so dumb.
If I speak to Puppy and Puppy says, yeah, we chose Marcy for the level 3 couriers, I'll be like, well, John X-Fire was ahead of you guys. He knew all along.
I don't know if I actually want to see it, to be fair. Very stable game, just focusing on the lanes. You are getting some really good farm in your safe lanes overall. Young God and Kish uncontested in their matchups, which is to be expected for the Ursa Centaur and the Troll Pango. No one's really going to have a tough time finding farm there. And I think this stable time, it's a little bit concerning with how much Young PH is able to get, right? That he manages to get the Invis rune away, trying to sneak up top. Does not have chains for the chain gang, focusing on laning with a sleight of fist. We'll try to snipe away Wisdom Rune, though.
See if he gets it. Young PH. Trying. Drick. Oh, he's got no idea. Poor old Drick. Oh, and they leave him to... The Young PH, he could have tried for that kill, and he's like nah. Nah, it's alright. I got the Wisdom Rune, I'm happy.
He's a very merciful Ember player. He doesn't have chains anyhow. I think it's a little bit awkward, especially if TPs are forced, so it's perfectly fine. You do get a lot for Wonder Boy in that time span, though, is just playing mid, playing the creeps, level 7 up, has the hammer ready to drop at the Santis. And some damage to play with.
Soul Rain trying desperately to get Drick here in the cogs. The Drick, again with the little shredder, makes it very, very hard to actually hit those cogs. No, I mean, they're doing a pretty decent job top lane of not dying. Like, Rupido's currently unaffected by this kind of lane, although I say that, he does almost get caught by the cogs mid-swashbuckle, but he's alright. Both carries are farming very, very well right now. Both offlaners doing the exact same thing. There is a slight bit difference between the Ember and the OD, but it's nothing to write home about. Speaking of that OD, Wonder Boy is going to rotate, trying to go after the Clockwork, and they will reveal that they've got vision on the high ground. They will find Zorain, but Young God dies. Young God dies before Zorain, so First Blood will go the way of YG.
That's a bigger take for YG, huh? Getting First Blood bonus for himself. Is just opting for the double bracer into phase boots, so he wants to be able to run, wants to utilize a little bit more armor. Is overstaying his welcome for whatever reason.
He sure did. I mean, in all honesty, I think he actually may have wanted the reset. But probably not the best idea to feed it over to Rupido of all things.
Considering that slow restart, that does allow Rupido to feel a little bit more secure going into Blink after this double bracer now. Are getting some good stacks up. Zarain gets the early block, takes the D-ward as well, so you're not going to be able to fully utilize these stacks anytime soon. But try to set up top though.
Kish chases on. Got the troll well and truly locked down. I mean, he doesn't actually have battle trance available, though Rupido's kind of got himself blocked up here in the cogs. Should just be dead on the troll and they'll just drop down, just in case. There's now Stampede down at bottom lane. They'll go for a chase onto the Ursa once again, and they've got him, I think. Young God, he will die another time. This is really problematic. The fact that Young God continues to die as they pick off the troll. And I just realized as well, Young God is still level 5. He was one creep away from having Enrage up, but not quite.
Not quite. In terms of net worth, you are at basically the same progression for Young God and Kish, despite the net worth difference. The only difference is Kish does have the extra gold for the Wraith Band. I think that's where the gold difference really lies. Otherwise, their progression into Battle Fury is pretty much the same. So, I don't think it's the biggest deal for either side. The level difference certainly does hurt. But, again, like both of these cores are just going to farm into Battle Fury. Both of them have almost the same idea. The Troll is a little bit more push-centric, but both of them can take Roche. I think that's going to be the big focal point for Salvation and for YG as the game develops. Still, it does feel like we are hitting a steady state where neither side's really going to be looking to push the envelope too hard. Young PH does have himself an amp damage rune. They're constantly playing poke up top. That's some good cogs usage from Zalrain this time around.
Fine for now. Bit of a rotation here down the bottom lane. It's like Kish and Horde just going to take care of that tier 1 bottom tower. Salvation Gaming maybe falling a slight bit behind, I'd say, just based off how the map is working out for them right now. I do get a little bit more concerned as well. Like, you've got this great counter pick in the OD against the Troll, but once Kish has got the BKB up, it's not so much a counter pick anymore. So you've got to be a little bit wary of that. Like, the Troll does have to hit a timing at some point where it does become a big problem. And even against the Ursa, again, I feel like once the BKBs are there, the Ursa's not going to have the greatest of times.
I mean, there's a lot to consider with these item timings. And the BKBs certainly are going to cause issues for Wonderboy, and it doesn't feel like he's ready to really run them down. He is going for the Witchblade, focusing on the right clicks a little bit more. Santis is coming off cooldown, so you could perhaps make a play at that point. Doesn't quite feel like the moment is there just yet. We'll find a tier 1. They set up some good forward vision here to try to punish Kish down the line. They can scout out nicely, but Zalrain also plants a good forward ward to watch someone's playing in that lane. Good deny from Lloyd onto the shield rune as well. I'm curious when both sides start to commit. It does feel like you're kind of waiting for the pause once, but the off lane should start to be finding their initial itemization here. Rupido is going for a Yules, a little bit more defensive. Ha, keeping it a little bit open. Does have his blink, so that is a timer here for YG, and there's smoke off the back of it. Could look for a nice simple kill on mid.
I mean, Lloyd should be a nice, easy pick-off, though Lloyd does seem to be recognizing something is a little bit awry, but not quite. They'll catch it. Little setup there from Young TH, and of course Hall will take the killers now. A hookshot is out. They'll catch another. It's going to be Zalrain being caught. Drake, though, is going to find himself in danger now on the snap fire, so he should eventually fall. And he will. Hall will pick up a double, but now they've got the Ember. Young PH, he's able to remnant away. He's all right. Still a successful bunch of kills here for the side of YG. At least Salvation, they do get a clockwork for their trouble, but that's about it.
I don't know if it's the best for Salvation at all. Considering you had to drop Santis on the Soul. Clockwork doesn't feel great. Your OD's out of the picture for at least 2 minutes without a threat from Santis. It doesn't feel that impactful just yet on the OD. So it buys you so much time to feel confident on Yangon to just farm up. All the room in the world up top. Keep going. Rupido still playing tag with Zalrain. Zalrain just being a massive nuisance, but is buying that space out for Kish to be secure in that Battle Fury timing. Again, the Battlefield timings for both cores are looking about identical. Maybe just very slightly faster for Kish, but Yangon isn't too far off either. It's really what they get off the back of these Battle Furies. I feel like the threat for Yangon into Roshan is a lot bigger in comparison to maybe Kish. It all comes down to who can start to find these fights, who can start to find these pickoffs going into these engagements, who gets the space to actually access Rosh or an objective. Like, I think for YG, again, there's potential to go for tower pushes instead. There's a lot of ways to punish Kish right now, and he's still not opting for Battle Trance. Full farm, trying to level up its fervor. So if they do manage to get a smoke gank onto that troll's position, doesn't take much to really burst him down, but very protected farming space here for Kish, so no threat so far.
Quite yet. At the very least, Yangon on the Ursa is having a decent enough time now, just slowly farming up towards his Battle Fury, but you can see how far he fell on the net worth. Not a very good position at all for the position 1 Ursa, who has to play catch-up now against Kish, who is also farming a Battle Fury and does have it on the way. So his farm is set to escalate quite quickly now on the Troll, of course. Salvation Gaming sitting back, relaxing for a little bit. I do again get very concerned about the BKB timings that you can look towards as YG. However, like the Centaur's aiming for one. Young BH setting up a kill. Move stop is up. They've got the OD. Wonder Boy immediately deleted here by Hor. They might get a trade onto the Centaur and they will take Hor down. But what's it going to cost? Drake will also drop here on the Snapfire. So they'll try to chase a little bit more. They'll find the Witch Doctor, but they'll lose skill lane in the process. YG still in front. I think of this team fight as it's a 2-for-3 trade, but here comes Yangon onto Zorain trying to find another. The Clockwork in a bit of danger, will try to run and might actually make it out. Young BH continues to force them away. In fact, he wants Rupido. He'll get the chains out onto the Pangolier. Young BH really playing on the edge, gets the Remnant and does make it out. Yangon unable to save his Pangolier. As YG, they will find a 2-for-4 trade in their favor now.
And it's such a great opening to the fight as well. Ha sees the OD, gets the jump in, prevents Wonder Boy from getting any astrals off, prevents him from even considering sanities, just blows him up. Does feel like Wonder Boy also has to consider his own BKB timings here. Kind of hold that front line for the team. At least you don't lose Young God. Tries to get some activity in. But Young PH is online.
Yeah, Rick, he is going to drop quite easily. Young PH, he wants more. This is one of his favorite, if not his favorite hero, Young PH, as he's really playing on edge. That melodic damage is going to start to stack up, but he's... Ooh, the sleight of fist. It doesn't. He's alright. No sweating here from Young PH.
He knows how far to push it. It is magical damage, so his Flame Guard is protecting. Plays right on the edge. And again, all of these fights take place so far away from where Kish is farming. In comparison, like this Ursa has to show up to bring some damage out. It's all right.
Rain. Gets the cogs off. Will try to hookshot away and does, but is the TP going to work? No. Ooh. At least he gets a nice deny. It is a nice deny.
Better than giving that kill over to Lloyd. Don't want this Witch Doctor to scale up even further in terms of levels and items. You get the smoke out instantly broken though.
It certainly is. Onto the Pangolier they'll go, but it seems as though Young PH wants to just continue slowly chipping away. Not too interested in trying to force a big kind of engagement. That'll be enough. He's got his Maelstrom up now on the Ember. But you look at the net worth, like YG, all 3 cores are at the top. And this is kind of the concern now. Like they've just won out every single lane. And now you can play the slow farming game here if you really want to as YG. And just kind of always guarantee yourself the position of being ahead. You know, like, it's never fun to play OD from behind. Nor is it fun to play Ursa from behind, as they are going to find at least a Dark Willow. So that's something there for the OD. But they're going to need a lot more farm than that.
Certainly way more farm. Does cost them the roll on Rupido as well. Not the longest cooldown. Does provide some opportunities if you want to capitalize on Yangon. Do at least have this blink timing done and dusted on Young God. The Ursa can try to consider making some plays forward. Lloyd?
Try and go for a Death Ward. They are desperate to try and kill off Young PH on the Ember, but it is certainly a task in and of itself that is proving to be very challenging.
That it is. Again, like we were talking about this in the draft, it's not a bad Ember game. Young PH will take that every single time. Your control is not hard enough. Astral is annoying, but where's the follow-up stuns on that? We're probably honestly having to line up for Astral into a cookie. That's easier said than done on that timing.
Top lane, big group up is here. It seems like YG may have thought Roshan had started, or maybe they just want Roshan themselves. They are up against an Ursa after all, so denying this Roshan away, especially the first Roshan, never really feels good if you are the Ursa. But it seems as though Salvation Gaming, they understand they don't really have much of a choice in the matter. They'll smoke up as 4, the Rocket Flare does make it obvious Roshan is happening, but it's too late. Aegis up on Kish. They could still force a fight. They do pop the Rolling Thunder, it looks like they're going to try. But they're only going to find skill lane. Not really a big deal at all for YG.
No, certainly not. It's commitment of the role once more from Rupido. And it's allowing them to stay in this game, finding some trades. You do still have this big spike for Young God himself going into that BKB. But like you mentioned, the side of YG, saving up for their own BKBs. Young PH also working onto one. Hao has been working onto one. Gold's not too far off. For at least a double BKB timing here on the side of YG. And that just puts into question this OD pick mid. Wonderboy, he didn't dominate lane as hard as you'd want him to. Now Lloyd as well on the Witch Doctor. I mean, this Witch Doctor, yes, it's strong, but it didn't do anything in lane either. It just didn't have that impact we were looking for.
No, it certainly did not. Not exactly what you were hoping for at all here if you are Salvation Gaming. And it's just, it's so hard now. Like, you know, young PH in this Ember, he always pops off as it is, let alone once you give him a start like this. You know, he's sitting at 6-0-3 on the Ember Spirit at the moment, and it's just completely uncontested. I've got to give massive props to Hor here as well in the Centaur. Like, the amount of setups he had on the Ursa throughout that laning stage. A little bit too much to handle, killing off that Ursa twice, and you can still see the effects of that. Like, he's still 2k behind the Troll. And again, I just don't think it's going to get any better as time goes on.
Oh, young guy?
Oh.
Young PH? Oh. Oh.
Ouch. That hurts, man. You know, I don't want to be that guy, but Young God may have had to been aware of that because it was 21 minutes. The Wisdom Rune was spawning, you know? Maybe he should have been a little bit more cautious, but here we go. They do at least find the Ember, and they've got it. No messing around. Over 1k to go the way of the OD. That's a good kill.
And it is. Costs them a lot. Sanity's drop, and again, they had to line this up perfectly with the Rolling Thunder and the Cookie post-imprisonment. But that is the kill they need to keep themselves in this game for Salvation. What have the youth done, Mike? Why is Young God killed by Young PH? Is the youth not supposed to be at peace, Mike?
I don't know. Oh? Rocket point. Oh, they're going to find the OD. Revenge is sweet. Zorain, I'm not sure what he's trying to do there with that hook shot. It was definitely unnecessary. Maybe needs to get the other facet as well, you know, considering he did hit his teammates.
Well, you ever get pinged
thought that was...
you know?
No, I don't miss hooks, John. But if I did, right, first of all, I wouldn't play Clockwork because I'm never going to pick that facet. That lowers my cooldown if I hit a teammate. That's just embarrassing. That's admitting defeat before you've even started.
Oh,
bottom lane.
Young PH.
Young PH. Yeah, he'll find one. I think Lloyd also admitted defeat before it even started. Johnny just pops the Death Ward and dies. Gris goal.
Yeah, Gris Scroll. He's not really losing money. I have to say, though, it surprises me with how little you technically lose per death. When I see that, like, it feels like the number should be higher, but it's strange. It always feels lower than what you'd expect. But 700 gold in your pocket, not an insignificant amount for a Witch Doctor going into the Guardian Greaves here. I will say again, though, the presence just wasn't there from Lloyd early on. Didn't feel like there was a threat from Voodoo Maldic at all. And I feel like just a weak lane from the Witch Doctor just collapses into this, right? Like your Ursa gets bullied out because you're not able to bully out the enemy off lane with this Witch Doctor. Because your Ursa's bullied out, you don't have access to Rosh. Because you don't have access to Rosh, the Troll gets it. And because the Troll gets it, they farm up into BKBs, which are already up and running on our triple cores. So now your OD has no point.
Oh, young BH pops his BKB this time around. He'll make it out. In fact, here comes Kish from the side. They'll at least Astral up the Troll Warlord. Is Wonderboy actually going to get away with an Invis for now, but not for long. He will die in the tree line as YG looking to put perhaps a lid on this game one. Looking for that tier 2 bottom tower. Still 7k ahead. Young PH in the meantime looking for some more kills. Rotating back into the mid lane. Not able to find himself a target. Sadly, they will eventually see Lloyd thanks to that rocket flare, but Lloyd's a bit too far away.
Yeah. I think they were actually gunning for the rune. And PH has been on point with the rune control. Do manage to deny it off once more with Lloyd at the very least, but it's 9-14, 8k lead up for Yangon. And Salvation. I'm not sure where the play is supposed to come out at this point. Like, you're getting Ags on OD, which is nice, but it's a very defensive Ags nowadays, right? Like, it's not what it used to be a long time ago, where you'd get double Astrals, get a little bit more damage out. No, it just keeps you alive, but I don't know if that makes a difference right now, if Wonderboy gets to stay alive. Maybe if he gets to use the Santis off of that, could be one way, but you lose all your mana, so you're going to have to right-click with Arcane Orb. Oh, that provides some openings for them to just counteract you on the side of YG. Young God farming in Kish's farm. Could be awkward here. Nope.
No, they won't initiate. They found the Ursa though, Young God. He's fine. Kish. Zorain not going to be there in time to cancel off the TP. It's very hard to see the comeback though, right? Like, again, because Wonderboy just never popped off on the OD. The Pangolier of Rupido really hasn't done too much either. And, you know, Young God's the saving grace right now with his net worth on his team, but even he's just nowhere near a level yet where you really feel confident, as they are going to jump Drake now. Lloyd's going to try and help out with the Death Ward usage into Hor, but Hor has the Glimmer Cape of skill later survive. Rupido, he does go for the Rolling Thunder, but it does nothing.
Just like that, a little bit of a hit and run. Not much you can really do on Salvation. And Wonderboy has his axe, but I just don't know if this is high value. It's just, yeah, your OD will live to maybe get a couple of right clicks or an Astral off. Is that going to be enough? It just doesn't feel like it at the moment. 9-15, another tier 2 faults, one outer tower left for Salvation. And it's really just these BKBs being up so early that makes it feel like they don't have a game on Salvation's end. Do you have your BKB ready on Young God? Going for the Basher into Abyssal next. It just feels like he's going to be kited around as this Ursa though, even with a BKB. Like, I don't see the big game plan to kind of reel this back in. Last outer tower gone, complete control for Yangon. And they can just kind of relax. Like, there's no room here for Salvation to sustain on all of their cores. You need so much more in Wonderboy. It doesn't even feel like the issue is on Young God. I think this Ursa's been farming very efficiently, considering this farm space. It's really just the impact of the OD. He is going back for a Hurricane Pike into a Parasma. His damage output can be great at that point. Even to BKBs just does not feel like it's enough at all.
He spoke up. I mean, Salvation game, they're going to try for something, and they might run right into Hor. Hor's actually got his team coming with a big smoke behind him. He's going to survive long enough, though. He does have a BKB to throw out. Drick is actually going to be spotted here by Hor. Young God's going to jump in, they'll try to block the Centaur, but he gets his BKB off in time, and now Young God's in huge trouble. Young PH chained up 3 of them. He'll pop his BKB and run, but they've got the ensnares out to root him down. Rupido the 4th. He'll try to get out, but there's no chance, it looks like, as they'll drop the hammer. They'll at least find Zorain, but it's a full team wipe. Wonderboy run. Young PH is not done yet. Maybe he needs to be, though, because Drick is on the chase now with his OD. Young PH has gone too far. He's out of mana. No full team wipe, never mind.
Young PH going a little bit ham. Not respecting the drain that happens when you're playing up against the OD. Still, a lot of pressure coming out from YG. And you can just see the effect of that triple BKB. It's just, it makes it so no game comes out. Young God's BKB is nice, but the troll doesn't really care for it. Roshan's up. They can just go back, finish that up for themselves here on YG. No sanities to worry about. And that really is the big game changer for Salvation, right? Dropping the sanities on such low mana pool targets, but Wonder Boy's never able to find the right timing to get that done. Roche is just set to fall. Aegis Cheese going the way of YG. More safety nets for them as they start to consider approaches to high ground. Full Satanic now for Kish. And this troll is out of control. And the easy solution is OD imprisonment, but with BKBs, yeah, you're not going to keep anyone locked in at all.
It's a tough, 11k advantage now. 91% win probability here for YG in this game one. Bottom lane, Lloyd, it just cannot catch a break. This poor Witch Doctor. 0-6 and 0-6 and 6 is the scoreline here for the Witch Doctor. And, I'll tell you what, he's just not having a game here as YG continue to just absolutely dominate.
What are you saying about
Very
people who lose with Witch Doctor, Mike?
Oh, you know, I told you, I'll say it to his face, John. I'll say it to his, I don't give a crap. I'll say it.
It certainly doesn't look like the most busted hero in this game.
It is.
Certainly not.
It really is, though.
I mean, it really is.
Like, what's more bust? Well, what's more bust than the Witch Doctor in this game? Like, there's nothing.
No. In this game, no. In theoretical, it's Monkey King. I think. Like, it's literally a toss-up. Like, a good Monkey King can make a Witch Doctor feel like a joke. But, you know, the Monkey King counter, just pick Marcy. Easy. It has a counter. Witch Doctor has technically in lane, not much.
He uses Gris, by the way. We never saw how much gold he got out of it, but he did use it.
Yeah, I think he got around 800. Last I checked, 860 or some such, maybe 900 at that point.
Kind of impressive.
Yeah, it's something. You know, he has the mech. Guardian Greaves not too far off into Shard. Tormentor going to skill 8. So they've got that utility on Cursed Crown. I'm just trying to think how Salvation approaches these fights. I legitimately cannot think of a good way of starting these fights. Maybe if you get a first bash in Young God, chain that and just burst someone down. It doesn't feel like the supports are a big issue. It's really Young PH, Ha, and Kish that you have to watch out for here for Salvation. I don't know. Like, maybe if YG play 1x1 as well. Right? If they say isolated, give some pick-off potential to Salvation, that's one way, but they don't have forward vision. Outside of this triangle war, they can't really sneak outside their base right now. They're just stuck. They don't have a way of finding some stragglers anyhow.
Down towards that bottom lane here, YG, and they're still playing very cautiously, but they've got 2.5 minutes on the Aegis, so I'm sure they'll be looking to try and at least find a pick-off and go high ground. Line's being drawn out through the top lane, so it seems that Salvation want to try and just push out that wave. But that's exactly where YG are hanging around now. Young God, thankfully, will not go for that creep wave. Does back his way out. The right choice.
Yeah.
YG, though.
And just...
They're still just controlling the whole map. Like, they are not letting Salvation out of the base whatsoever.
No. You know what this reminds me of, Mike? It reminds me of a lot of the games in the last patch, honestly, right?
Yeah.
Is this not reminiscent of that?
Well, no. I mean, they didn't really change anything at high ground, did they? You know, it's just, they added
Not too
Roshan
much.
banner as if that was going to do anything.
I mean, it does. And not
when
all
you
the
get-
time, to be fair. Yeah. No, but I'm talking about like a 33-minute timing where it's kind of tied in like this. You can't go out, but you can't push high ground. We haven't seen that kind of one-sidedness in a while, I think.
I guess. But here we are, back to the old meta. Nothing happened. Nothing changed. We're doing the same thing.
You know what I said when the patch came out, Mike? The more things change, the more they stay the same.
I mean, it really is true, isn't it? It really is true. Rolling Thunder, skill late. Just gonna try and secure an easy kill onto the Dark Willow, and they will get it. Nice little pickup being set up by Rupido. YG, I'm sure very, very unworried about that. You know, just back to the drawing board, get some farm going once again, boys. No need to worry about that death on your Dark Willow. In fact, I dare say they'd probably take a 4v5 fight if they really wanted to. You know, if they would come out of the base here on the side of Salvation. They'll see Hor on the Centaur in the mid lane, but of course they know they can't really even bother trying.
No. Just really choked out. There's some room here for Young God to farm. Then he's got his Basher. He's going into the Shard. They do manage to set out the Aegis. Full Abyssal finished up actually for Young God. So that can be an option to smoke off of, and they will. See if they catch something meaningful with a full Abyssal Blade up. It has to be a big core. They cannot settle for like a pickoff in Zalrain, who is in position to break smoke if they walk this way.
Big smoke here. Salvation. Looking at Hor. And Hor's a pretty tanky boy with 5k HP, but they might have to give it a crack. It's a very hard kill to imagine, but they're going to try. Young God jumps in. They've still got the Ursa to rely on. Hookshot is out to try and save Hor. He's still alive, though they are still going, but he gets his BKB off with half his HP still available. They'll at least get a clockwork, but that's all they've got out of this. I suppose as long as you lose nothing on Salvation, you're pretty happy with it.
That is fair.
So
Zalrain was worth a lot of gold. Oh.
Young God's farming underneath the vision right now, John. His whole team left apart from him. It's the classic carry curse. It's always the carry. You know, the rest of the team says, guys, we should back off. And the carry says, just one more camp. Just one. It can't hurt.
Can't hurt not having buyback.
No.
Certainly not. High ground does open up. Nice kickoff. I mean, again, they needed a core kill here in Salvation. Couldn't settle for Zalrain, but that's exactly what they found. Temper off at the very least with a Fortify, but there's really not much holding this troll back. Full Swift Blink now for Kish. He's set to just run down these objectives.
They're still hanging about. Kish will get the tier 3 tower. Will he start working on it? The Remnant Chains is flying out here from there, but you can't really forget about that. A chain gang, that is. Or dropping a bit of damage. Will still be a Centaur. Like, he's a tanky boy. They'll continue to work on towards Hor. He's running, but they'll drop the hammer and they'll finally get the job done as they've lost. Well, they haven't yet. Drick is alive. This OD taking down Zalrain now. Kish forced the BKB and Kish will just TP away. So a rain track's taken, and that's going to be about it. They have to get out. They will lose 2 heroes. Even without the Ursa, I mean, the OD still hits like a truck. They'll even find skill A as a third. So Wonder Boy is becoming a problem slowly but surely.
And they're starting to find their groove back in for Salvation, getting some severe punishment on YG. Overstaying their welcome, you know, not quite timing that right. With no BKB for Ha, he is a sitting duck. Didn't quite have Stampede ready at that point as well. I'm a little bit surprised he went for the level 20 talent for retaliate damage as well over Stampede cooldown. Maybe just feeling confident, wanting to tank through, but does get punished for that sort of build. If he had 20 and instead went for the cooldown, would have had an escape angle for the rest of the team to bail out without risking too much. Find a tier 1 off of it, and they stay in the game for Salvation. A range rack's not the biggest loss. Unfortunately for Salvation, Roshan is still 2 minutes away, so not going to be able to try to snag an easy Roshan with the Ursa. And kind of look for more on the map. There is time to respond here on the side of Yangon. Yangon, for their part, and they're going into Lincoln's for Kish, so he will have protection while the BKB is down from the imprisonment. It does still feel like this core-to-core matchup is not the comfiest for Young God. Has to rely on some bashes here to really win out. still have the cheese on hand as well for Kish. And they are setting up in Roche. So they know the general idea of what they have to play around next. What other items are we looking for? Sight of Vice for Wonderboy coming out next as well.
Oh, nice hook. They're going to find Rupido. Go for the Rolling Thunder to try and survive this. Needs to find a way out. Rupido, he's still perfectly fine for now. Lotus Orb will be committed. Gets onto the high ground towards the Twin Gates, but the Terrorizer is going to make it very hard to get away. Eventually they will catch him. The Pango is down. And another nice little pickup here for YG. They even check for the Roshan, but sadly Roshan's still about 40 seconds away. It seems like the side of Salvation, they're going to try and find Young PH, knowing he's alone. A bit of hesitation though. They saw him there for a second, but they don't make the jump in. Young PH, though, they do now. They've got him. Young PH is down. Another big pickup.
That's the trade he needed. That's the kind of kill Salvation needs to find. Stragglers, one by one, get the control off. The Sight of Vice from Wonderboy already paying off. The double instant disables in the Sight of Vice and the Abyssal Blade. Going to cause some issues for YG. Still YG in control of the Roche Pit. Will walk through the gate instead, as that was taken out, but this is right into where Salvation's at.
Stuns out mid lane, or rather bottom lane, sorry, OD will be the target. They'll jump in Young God here trying to help out his OD. Will be alright for now with the Astral Imprisonment, but Wonderboy needs to find a way out. Will run his way out as Young God now being targeted by Kish, who does go into the battle trenches, manning up right against the Ursa. And it seems as though this Ursa cannot continue to fight. He needs to get out as they are onto the OD once again, onto Young God once again to Food. They want both at the same time and they've got him. Both will drop onto the third. They'll find themselves Rick on the Snapfire. Even a buyback being committed here from Lloyd, but Lloyd can't get back to the team fight in time.
No way. Just a little bit too far. Did have the outpost to play with, but it's an awkward circumstance overall. They did get vision. Lloyd did plant some wards to spot, but just a little bit too late. Wonderboy can react quick enough. Roshan will go the way of YG with the banner. This should enable the high ground nice and easy for them. Even a refresh shard on hand here. Got all the spells you could hope for. Even an amplified damage rune at the ready as well. So everything you could possibly hope for to enable the high ground siege is there. They did have to commit the buyback on Young PH, and they didn't hand him the Aegis, so there is a little bit of a potential for Salvation to punish. They have to move fast. Double siege creep down bot. Mid being shoved as well, just by Kish. They're going to find everything if they don't manage to rally a defense.
T2, or rather T3 bottom tower, going to be going down very, very quickly. So he'll take the mid T3 tower. Kish happily taking that on his own. This game looking pretty much well and truly over. Maybe one more team fight to come here from Salvation. They do still have that top melee barracks to try and fight for. Kish, he'll stick around for the bottom barracks. Keep in mind, he's got Aegis plus the Satanic plus Battle Trance back up with his BKB if he needs it. He will retreat for now, however. So not looking to risk anything, he will just back his way up, back towards safety, maybe looking to reinitiate later on. They will go for a smoke. They'll see Wonderboy. Wonderboy is not the easiest target though with that Axe available. They're going to wrap around through the top lane it looks like and see if they can find themselves a big target. Drick's going to be around. Oh, Young God. If they see the Ursa, they'll find the Witch Doctor instead. They'll jump in, they'll hook shot Zorain. He's going to find Young God. The Enrage is out though. Young God will survive, but they've lost their top barracks just that quickly. To Kish, who just takes it down immediately. And now looking towards the bottom lane to get the Megas. Kish has no fear here. No one to really contest him as they will throw in a stun. Young God. Awkward jump in from the Ursa. Has to pop his BKB, but now doesn't have that available. Kish will secure Megas. Salvation, I mean, they're up against Megas now. They won't call it quite yet, but it's looking pretty dire for them. Chains out, catching the OD for a moment. The Hurricane Pike away. Or casual stun in, Young God will go in onto the Centaur based off the Hex that was committed. However, the Wind Waker is there for Hor. He'll be just fine. He'll try for the Troll Warlord Kish. He'll get the 4-staff away. He's still got the Aegis up, so they'll take down the first line. He's got all his spells and items ready to go for a second if he needs it. Hor popping his own BKB here against Wonder Boy. But they will successfully retreat.
Yep.
And as for Salvation
No
game,
concern.
John, I mean, they've got the game still going, but Mega Creeps are on the way.
That it is. They can clear them out quite nicely. Again, with a Battle Fear and Young God, and with Swash, you can sort of manage these creep waves. It's just a very difficult game for you to try to reel back, right? Again, the BKBs have been causing non-stop issues. You do have a lot of damage starting to come out from Wonder Boy, going into the Barasma. Once these BKBs fade, he can do a lot of work, but they have to kind of take the opportunities in Salvation. Either get that initiation as we saw before, with a side of Vice and Abyssal, chain stun someone to death, and hope for a strong 4v5. Or just try to back off, force these BKBs and YG somehow, retreat while they're running, and then come back in once the BKBs fade away. Those are the only two ways I can see Salvation kind of taking this. YG, still in control. No Aegis. Roshan 4 minutes away, of course. So they can just kind of chill out till next Rosh if they don't feel confident. Like, there's no pressure on YG to play to end this game. They've got a massive lead. They've got all this great scaling lined up for themselves. There's really no cause for concern at all. They even have more Halberds up. Zalrain with his own. They've got a Sight of Vice and skill layup now. They've got control. They've got disarms for Young God. It doesn't get any easier here for Salvation.
They're holding on, but there's your 4-man smoke now. Make it a 5-man smoke as they're going to see Young God. Young PH is going to show himself. See Wonder Boy, Young PH. To throw out the remnants, keep in mind he does have that chain gang facet available, so it's quite easy to land these chains from a mile away. Keith 4 towers now under siege here thanks to Kish. He'll find one. For another, they'll make the jump in. They have found the Ember for now, but Young PH still too tanky. He's not going to die. He'll be just fine to survive as he comes back into the team fight. They're onto the OD. They've got the full control. Wonder Boy with the X trying to survive a little bit longer, but they've called the GG. It's the Ancient's card. They just focus it down. Why even fight? Isn't enough to quite win them the game. They are indeed going to actually find themselves the Observer Ward here in the mid lane, so a nice start already for this mid lane of Wonder Boy. Because they are probably going to have to get rid of their own laning ward as well, though, so there is that, but, you know, at least you get the bonus gold for yourself.
And you do.
Oh, and Lloyd,
Setting him...
I believe that's a spot you get stuck in if you get hooked. I'm pretty sure you can't move if Lloyd hooks.
Much. Trying to line up for it. See if he gets lucky, if anyone oversteps your bounds here. Doesn't look like it. They do respect the Pudge quite nicely on YG. Not going to pressure too hard.
The thing is, he's got the vision. Like, as soon as this Phoenix steps out, and he won't, they'll give up. They'll go to the other side, see if they can get a hook on the left side bounty route. But no, YG are not messing around at all. They were like, they just know. The Pudge is here. Let's not mess about. Just take the easy bounties and get the hell out of there. Don't give Lloyd a good start. Bottom lane, Horse copping a fair bit of damage on his way out here because Young God will not leave the man alone. 2 rocket barrages is what Hor took. But ultimately, he's probably not that bad for where here is. Move stop is going to come out from Hor to ensure there's no body block on the creep wave. Luckily, unluckily, Skill Lay is actually blocking the Radiant creep wave, so Young God will get a pretty bad push towards the dire end. Still, we can start with the mid lane, of course. You're going to have Young PH against Wonder Boy here on the Puck vs Ember matchup. Anything to really note here, Jeff, between these two heroes?
This lane should be a lot better for Wonder Boy. Young PH shouldn't be fully shoved out. We've seen this matchup time and time and again. And Wonderboy does go for the double impact Sled Fist, so he does have a lot of output onto Young PH. Lots of good trading potential that Young PH can't keep up with. It can be down to a lot of rune control as well for Young PH to recover from this lane, but should be straightforward for Wonderboy. Earlier 6 as well should be able to overpower that. They do manage to get the jump on Zalrain here.
That's a nice start. They will take down the Phoenix already, so YG already giving first blood back the way of Rupido on the Pos 3 Marcy. And, you know, as much as I like to talk crap about Marcy, John, this Pos 3 Marcy can be a little bit scary if you give her a good start.
And it can be. It's a very strong kill lane as well. We've got the Earth Spike into the Dispose. Nice and easy to get some pickoffs. Oh.
Very close call here for the Gyrocopter down the bottom lane, but he does get salved up by Lloyd, so it looks like he's going to be alright.
Yeah, has managed to stay in the game. Again, the most active lane is going to be top. Still, the bot lane has a lot of play potential as well. The good old Ha and Skillay, a nice classic toss-up into Hoof Stomp can come into play. I do like that. They've got some early wards on as well, so they're not allowing Lloyd to have that hidden aspect to get his hook off. Not going to be able to get the block, but they protect their obs, which is the key part. You know, you don't want to have Ha take this pure damage, get run down by Gyro. As long as Lloyd doesn't hook the Centaur, you're fairly happy down bot. You can safely make this a little bit tougher for Young God. And Ha should be going for it to retaliate anyway to make this even more awkward for Young God as the lane goes on.
Okay, pause that. Looks like Skillay's having a couple issues here on the Tiny. So far, pretty nice start again for Salvation Gaming. I mean, the mid lane's going very, very well. Top lane pretty smooth, of course. Again, First Blood was drawn here by Rupido. And, of course, well, bottom lane, Young God's not really suffering at all yet. Lloyd is out of mana, which is a little bit unfortunate, you know, not having that hook available on the Pudge, but kind of is the name of the game here for the Pudge. It's kind of come to the territory. He'll bring a clarity out for himself anyway. So it looks like he'll have the mana pretty soon.
And he will. Let's see if he manages to get the hooks. Does have a sentry as well to take care of this ward. So should be able to take away the vision that is protecting right now quite nicely on the side of Yangon. Well, not quite yet. Just a little bit of nuisance play from Skillay, but that should reveal the ward. And it does. So I don't think that's definitely not worthwhile there for Skillay. Some opportunities can open up now. Laning phase, early CS-wise, you are in a happy spot for Salvation. Slightly ahead on Wonderboy mid. You've got a pretty good lane for Young God, a really slow lane for Kish, but it's equally slow for Rupido. The kill does offset that for our Marcy. I think the big concern is really top lane, but how aggressive Marcy line can get, especially now that level 3's up.
Pretty passive laning stage so far between these two teams, and not really too much to expect yet, I suppose, with the levels. Lloyd, hook, does land. He does get haul with that. Sort of hook underneath the tier 1 tower. Haw is, of course, going to be just fine. Still gets the creep pull away as well, so happy days for him. Even with the hook, and props to Rupido for finding Zalrain again down at that top lane, but even with the hook, like, you want the max range hook. Otherwise, the damage isn't really that impressive.
Yeah, nah. It's not enough to really threaten the Centaur. Double Bracer up. And probably triple Bracer coming in now as well. And we'll find Kish eventually.
Well, that's not great. If you are, I mean, if you are the side of YG just getting caught out like that, both heroes going down top lane, and Lloyd, bottom lane, does get caught with a nice toss back here from Skillay, so they do at least trade Lloyd across the map. But going back to that top lane for a second, I mean, your Morphling dying, not exactly what you'd like to see as YG.
Certainly not. Again, you have to respect the kill aspect of Marcy line. The chain stuns are great. As a core Marcy as well, you can go for bodyguards, you can get some extra hits off, as well as just some bonus damage if you're fighting close to your ally. And Kish, and he went a little bit greedier. He went for a level 2 waveform, so it doesn't have attribute shift up at 2. Can't shift into HP that well, as he managed to clear out Ha at last and get some punishment out. 4-1. Again, this is what we need to see from Salvation. A stronger laning start, leveraging these more unconventional picks. They are eking out a nice win over YG. Like, the farm of Ha and Kish are held back severely bottom network for Kish early on as well. Not a great sign for the Morphling. And you've got this foundation to play with as well once Wonder Boy can get some rotations out. Things are looking swimming here for Salvation so far. YG have to cut their losses. Play it safer. Try to get some build-up, get some EXP going. Maybe a connection out from Young PH can start to open up some opportunities.
They do find the line. Young PH happily takes the kill from himself here on the puck. Wonder Boy trying to race him for that power room, but it is actually picked up by Skill late. Actually gets an invis for himself, so can't actually get caught out as nobody had detection. Bit unfortunate here for Salvation. In fact, I think they might have actually had a sentry on the Pudge, but it doesn't really matter too much. They won't try for it. Top lane, Rupido taking a fair bit of damage here from Kish, but looks like he's okay. They don't really have too much follow-up here. I mean, Zorain's going to try with the level 2 Fire Spirits, but doesn't seem like it's going to be quite enough, though he could give it a crack. Icarus Dive plus Blood Grenade plus another Fire Spirit could do the work, but I suppose with the Healing Lotus that was there, he won't even try, as now Zorain does get jumped. Drink again setting up a nice kill, and does actually secure the kill himself on the line.
Some nice takes again. This Marcy getting fed so much in the lane. Gonna accelerate this BKB timing, accelerate that level 6 spike as well. They are contesting for Wisdom.
Yeah, bottom lane, they do actually find the Centaur, but it does cost Lloyd. Still, they'll find a 2-for-1. Another very successful engagement here down at this bottom lane. This is kind of what I was saying as well. Like, this +5 Pudge pick, as much as I don't think it's amazing, like, they do certainly do some pretty damn good work, especially during the laning stage.
They do. None of the lanes feeling good for YG. Again, Salvation playing to their strengths. The only lane that is going remotely well is that mid of Young PH. Even then, it's a marginal win so far for Puck. Biggest issue is really just waiting back on this center and Morphling farm. Like, not having the center to connect to is going to be massive. Is having to go from the phase boots into the blade mill. I get the phase boots build. Phase movement is nice, especially up against Pudge. But I don't know, like, it stalls out your blade mail by a substantial amount in comparison to no boots, triple bracer. Just prevents some early play here.
Lloyd not going to land the hook that time around. Skill late, nice little sidestep to avoid us. Now the Dream Coil will fly it onto the Ember. Wonder, he'll get silenced up. Do they have the damage? They do not. Wonder Boy will barely survive. Even forced to pop a Fairy Fire just to ensure he does make it. They will still take the life of Lloyd at the very least. So the Pudge does go down, but they do miss out on the much bigger kill on the Ember.
They miss an opportunity. Still, more than happy to just find something when you're slightly behind in kills like this. It's giving a lot of room out for Kish as well up top. As long as he's playing by the tower, camping back, respecting the Marcy a little bit more. Is fairly safe for that farm. Still, Zorain.
Jump is there. Zorain still alive, barely, but not quite. Wonder Boy with the Sleight of Fist will be able to secure the kill. And that's actually the fourth death already for Zorain. He's had a pretty rough game on that +5 Phoenix thus far. 4 kills is... it's half the kills that Salvation have.
Pretty much. Yeah. I suppose out of all the heroes to die, at the very least it is the Phoenix 5, you know. That is probably the best target to sacrifice, all things considered, so it's not the worst thing in the world. They are keeping heavy track now of Kish. They've planted a nice forward ward here on Salvation. Track right between the tier 1, tier 2. Drick does have the level 3 Earth Spike and the Hex ready. They try to make a play if the creep wave starts to connect here. Oh, but Kish gets a good read. Backs off in the nick of time.
They're still going to be able to stick around for the tier 1 tower at the very least, but yeah, Kish has left the building. I do wonder with this new Morphling, like, at what point do you feel confident, like, to really start to fight with your team? Like, is it still just the same? You know, like, he's going to build a Link into a Manta. Is it all just the same crap? Does anything change, I wonder? I suppose we'll have to wait and see, but it'll be intriguing to see if anything has changed with this hero.
Yeah, I don't think it changes too much. It's a little bit interesting that Kish did go for waveform maxed out instead of attribute shift. I think that's been causing his early deaths. Catch Zorain again.
certainly do. Zorain just not really having a game at all so far as he just continues to be a hook magnet. Giving another kill away to the side of Salvation. Yangon is being watched, skill late. Looking to move in for a toss-back attempt. Will throw him into Hor with a dream call that's set up from Young H. This will be a big one. And it seems that there'll be no real biggest... Oh, Hook is out from Lloyd. They do still secure the kill onto the Gyro, but at least they'll take Hor with it.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse for Salvation. They find a little bit of consolation prize. Still a nice pickup for YG. And the target identification to slow down Young God. Top net worth on the side of Salvation is pretty big. Slow down the Gyrocopters ramp up. Does have the full crystal is set to go anyhow. His timing's still lining up into his Ags, into the Daedalus. Damage output still set to ramp up. On your point about Kish, I don't think the itemization of Morphling changes. It's just that Ebb is pretty boring. I feel like Flow is the one where you change your itemization, right? When you become a strength morph, a strength main ability morphling, or a strength main stat morphling, and attribute shift lowers your cooldown, that's where the build changes. On Ebb, it's pretty much the old morph, so it's not that different, and I don't expect Kish to deviate. Once his Manta's up, Lincoln's Manta's up, should feel secure in starting to join these fights. The scaling of YG is still strong. Like Salvation, despite all of these wins early on, doesn't feel like they've really found enough. They've only found one tower. Tier 1 mid bot still a hold. You still have some room here for the Morphling to farm. You've got a Puck that can be a threat, working onto the full Witchblade into the Blink. You have managed to buy a lot of space for Young God to just really farm up at the moment. So there's that. Again, the ramp into the Ags here for the Gyro shouldn't be too far off. But it doesn't feel like you've completely shut out YG. Outside of bullying the supports. They barely reaching level 6 now. You've got it already up in skill A at the very least. But Zorain, still having to try to soak some EXP for the Ag, is holding them back. But I don't know if that's really impacting the wider picture. At least not until Salvation can start to commit onto bigger objectives. Their own item timings are, again, still lining up outside of just Young God. Mage Slayer for Wonderboy is coming in. BKB for Rupido is the big one. And it's only one part away. Just the recipe lacking now for our Marcy. So it is going to be a major threat up front. Smoke out Wonderboy and Drick. Looking for something.
They certainly are. Question is, what will it be? I mean, Young PH, he's going to find Drick first, so Drick is just pretty much dead. Still, they'll land.
Ooh. Ooh.
No, they won't land a stun. Skill lane with the toss, mid-rebound.
Ah.
What a toss to come out. I almost couldn't believe my eyes there, John. It's like, wait a minute, what happened? Wonderboy, he'll try to juke them out, but not quite. KSH is going to catch him with a sleight of fist himself. What a toss! Mid-rebound. You don't see that every day.
Nah, and you don't expect that at all. Really good setup by Wonderboy, but Skill A having the presence of mind to just try for the toss. And guess what? He was the closest thing, right within range. I think he was on range. He was just very high up. So unfortunate for the side of Salvation. Some big kills finally coming out for YG. They get some activity out on Kish as well. Important for the Morphling to try to reel this game back in. Only the recipe away now from full Lincolns here. And evens out the kill board 10-8, less than 1k lead for Yangon. Just unfortunate circumstance for Salvation, right? Smoke on smoke, they had the low ground. Smoke broke, but the side of Salvation didn't run up the ramp. You went the wrong direction for Wonderboy, so they couldn't punish, and the response was just a little bit too slow.
Big plays here so far from YG. YG, I mean, after that laning stage, it was a pretty rough affair for them throughout the laning phase, but things have gone pretty well ever since. But now there's going to be a two-man smoke. Young PH and Zorain look to maybe try and make a play up top lane where Rupido is currently hanging about. Kish does have his full Lincoln Sphere up now, so there is a chance he could join his team, but he's probably just better off farming. Looks like he will actually join for the smoke rotation onto the Marcy. I suppose if they can secure the kill, it's well worth his time. Top lane, Rapido, Dream Coil is going to land. They've got the Marcy locked down. Do they have enough damage, though, is the question. The answer is looking to be yes. Young God, he was desperately trying to get top lane to try and help out with a rebound, but he could not quite get within range to help.
Just a little bit too far out. And then, again, good target reading on YG, taking care of the Marcy. They saw the 2 parts for the BKB, holding off, stalling out that last recipe for the Marcy can become a massive issue. Oh, just juking and driving on Wonderboy. Still does manage to get the haste, but not really sure if he can fully leverage that just yet here on Wonderboy. Mage Slayer is doing a lot of work in terms of mitigating some damage output. It just doesn't feel like your side course are ready. At the very least, you need to wait for Rupido's BKB. Wait out that next 500 gold, 400 gold. Play from there. They are pressuring onto the mid. They can start on that. Blink for skill is so close. Just need to play patient. If they have to surrender the tower, it doesn't matter. Just wait out for the blink on Tiny before you can really start to make some big plays. They will trade bot for it, which is still a bigger trade for Salvation. But at the very least, they'll have an area of the map that YG can somewhat reach into. And get that farm going on Kish still. There's that blink.
I really don't think they mind at all. It seems like they're very confident in Kish's ability to just carry this game on the morph once he does hit a certain timing. Rotation through the twin gates again. Rupido was still hanging about the top lane, but he's going to retreat just in the nick of time. Blink now up on Young PH, so you've got some big initiations here for the Dream Call setup. Young PH gets hexed up, but the Stampede is going to allow him a way out. Immediate Stampede from Hor, no messing around. It's almost like he knew that Hex was coming. So Hor, maybe not guessing they'd come for him. He'll get hooked, he'll pop his Blade Mail, the Avalanche is saved. Hor will finally go down, but they do at least get Lloyd as a response. It's still a great trade here for Salvation. Pos 5 for a Pos 3, you can't complain.
Nice little pickup as well. That does still protect YG's mid though, Young PH.
Ooh. Oh, the toss.
Ooh.
Not what they wanted. Definitely wanted a target in the Dream Call to catch, but oh, December, what's he up to? I think Wonderboy wanted that illusion rune, but maybe gets a little bit too excited.
He does. Doesn't quite jump into that position. Still, game state holding steady 11 to 10. YG again maintaining a very slight lead. I don't know if you're happy about this fully in Salvation, right? Like, YG does feel very confident in scaling up with Kish and having this puck as well, going for the BKB. And you're gonna hit this Axe timing on Young God. Should be flying out now. He does have the gold to buy out, and he will. You still need the damage, still need the sustain, still need maybe a BKB on this gyro. This does feel like more time. Maybe, again, with a Marcy. Still a 9-second BKB charge. With the Unleash. That is your ace in the hole here for Salvation. You see them get the confidence to pop it if they get the opportunity to do so. But YG are just holding on to this mid. They're not allowing any sort of move onto that objective. They want to hold on to their triangle control. They want to have this reach into their top jungle as well. And we'll sneak around on Salvation, at the very least.
The thing is that they're just slowly losing the farm war, though. That's kind of my issue.
Yeah.
Like, it's like this morph is going to become a huge issue if they do jump in now on a Hor. Hor actually just pops the Stampede. He's too tanky. They don't have enough to deal with him. Rupido never got the dispose off either. It just, the Stampede was too quick, and that's very demoralizing to just watch. Like, Hor just casually pops R and walks away.
To be fair, Drick also missed the initial Earth Spike.
Oh.
So they didn't have the follow-up stun. And
Well, that's not...
it's just more time wasted, right? Like, you know, like you're saying, the farm war is being lost. Young God has the Ags, can farm even faster now, but it's not like you're slowing down here on Kish or even Young PH. He's going full right-click on that puck as well. I love this read. Not going for the BKB as he's queuing up. Ars trying.
do get a tiny.
Fine, still laying.
It's a finger charge shot. Chains out though. Catching out two, stopping the chase that was continuing as Hook is not going to land on Hor. I'm still thinking about going, it looks like. even without their Tiny, they're giving it a crack as they do jump the Ember, and in fact, they might have him. And they do. Wonder Boy is down. Drick tried to help out, but Drick may have cost his own life as the chase continues. Egg was dropped. Drick will get a nice Earth Spike. The hook away is going to allow him to survive. But my god, like, you get a support Tiny, but then you casually lose your mid-Ember like that. That's just horrible news here for the Radiant.
And it is. This is not the way you want these trades to go. For Salvation, you're feeding into this puck. Young PH again. He's going for full right click, going for the Parasma. Could line up for the Ags if he wanted to go that direction. And once that itemization's set, it's a scary time to play into that Dream Coil. But how much damage can fly out? You have to respect that. And again, Kish is choosing his fights well. Already has the Yasha. I believe he has the Manta flying out because he will try.
Oh, bottom. Or setting up double hoop stop there to ensure that he will make it out. Kish was there to back him up, but they're just not confident enough yet to really make these big plays happen as we're now mid lane skill lane looking towards Lloyd. Does have to blink up, will commit it. Gets the toss back into Young PH, and that is going to be a nice easy kill onto Lloyd. YG continuing to dominate this game too now with a 3k advantage their way. Just as this is happening, Kish is just slowly becoming more and more uncontrollable in this Morphling. You know, this BKB is going to come up, and then I think you're just in huge trouble. You know, like forget the Kanda build up. Once the BKB is there, it's just how are you going to kill them all?
Doesn't feel like you have enough. At least the output in Young God certainly isn't quite there yet. Having to go back for the BKB into Satanic first before Daedalus. Wanting that sustain, but doesn't feel like they win the sustain war up against Phoenix either. See how it pans out. Smoke, YG, still hungry for more here.
That they are. Lloyd looking for a nice hook. Young PH though, going to be spotted with the Sentry Ward, but the Avalanche is going to ensure they can't really follow up, and Lloyd is just going to die immediately as Hor. He might die with it. It's not a bad trade at all. In fact, it's a very good trade for Salvation if they can get out with everyone else, and they successfully will. Again, Lloyd, I mean, you say what you will, John, but this +5 Pudge, he's finding the openings for it.
Oh.
However, December is, you know, dying. Wonder Boy, he's gone again. Drick is also dead, John.
Interesting. Not what you'd expect to happen right after getting a favorable trade. Playing into the vision as well here from the side of YG. Yeah, the decision-making for Salvation is just falling a little bit flat. The execution is somewhat there. And all props to Lloyd. I think he's doing the right job. Rupido as well, looking for these opportunities with the Unleash BKB. Is working towards the Ags. That can put a little bit of a twist on these engagements in Salvation's favor. The pulses, the silence can hold you back quite a fair bit on YG. And he will smoke out on Salvation once more. Unleash is coming off cooldown. No BKB though, but not too far off either. We find Ha again. It's not too shabby for target, but looks like they want to do Roshan perhaps.
You could. They won't. Seems like they were maybe expecting a Roshan to be happening. Meanwhile, YG grouped up in the mid lane. Looks like they're considering going for a smoke of their own here. I think you just wait for Kish to have his BKB up, and you're more than happy to start the big fights after that, knowing that Kish just won't be able to die in the middle of these fights anymore. Still well and truly ahead of the Gyrocopter as well. Just Young God has been unable to keep up with the net worth compared to the Morphling. It does feel like the objectives are certainly going YG's way, as there is going to be a top tier 2 tower to drop. Why not even a Torment? Maybe why they're home. Maybe. Never mind. They don't want it. Screw the Torment.
No. Play it safe. Play it further back. The side of Salvation is coming to meet them there. They could try to lure them in with a Watcher control their way. Smoke out Salvation. Oh.
Try something. Takes out Drick. Finds Zorain. Jump in is there from Rupido, Wolf stop, not going to do too much. Young God, he got his BKB in time, and now the Hawk is going to catch out the Centaur. They'll find a secondary pickoff. It's a massive engagement for Salvation Gaming. Finding 2 targets for the price of nothing. You've got to love that.
It's a big win. It does take the commitment of the BKB from Young God, but it is worthwhile in the end. You find a lot for your trouble. That does allow a little bit of the faster ags as well for Rupido, although it looks like he might switch his build up and see what he prioritizes, whether or not it's the ags or the basher. I still think you're fine on YG. Like, this Centaur does not need that much farm. Ha is lagging behind, yes, but he really doesn't need much. He just needs to Stampede and Blink Initiate. All the damage, all the control is going to be coming out really from Young PH and from Kish, who are still uncontested. BKB you mentioned for Kish is up. You've got the full Lincolns not too far off now as well for Young PH. So locking in that puck with a Hex is also becoming a bit of an impossibility. And YG still have control of the pit. It is nighttime, it's up top. They can opt for it first if they want. Not much really holding them back here. I think for Salvation to really start to get terrifying, it has to be the Daedalus Satanic of Young God. I think once this Gyrocopter is there to back up the punches of Rupido, then things can sort of get interesting. They scan out on the Roche. It doesn't take too long for the side of Yangon to get this done. Salvation do know what's happening. We're in a close area, but not close enough to really contest. And again, they need to play it patient. Wait out for more items on Young God. Wait out perhaps for this Ags on Rupido, which is about 300 gold off. Once you have the Ags unleashed, things can start to get a little bit more interesting for Salvation in terms of a wider fight.
I think it's getting more and more dire. YG still happy to take their time, looking towards the Chrysalis into the Butterfly build-up now for the Morphling. Such a, let's say, a slower game between these two teams. I mean, there's been action here and there, but it's a classic Gyrocopter vs Morph kind of game where both heroes just want to farm forever.
That it is.
BKB's up on the input now. Go on, John. What is it?
No, I'm just agreeing with you. I've reinstated my points multiple times. Nothing has changed, so the same points still stand. Just a mild agreement. There's the ads. Finally, some development here. Rupido.
You are getting very good at wording the same points differently, though. I'll give you that. You've had plenty of practice.
It's part of the job description, no? Over the course of what, 5 years, Mike?
I mean, it's like 3,000 games at this point you and I have casted together.
That's not too far off the mark.
No, it really isn't. Look.
Do you reckon we'll ever see... do you ever reckon... No. Do you ever reckon we'll see the flow morphling, the strength morphling? It seems so interesting. But attribute shift lowering your cooldowns. I feel like it's fascinating.
But is it...
It's...
What if? I feel like there's some weird case to be made for, like, support morph with that passive. There's a weird case.
Yeah. I think core morph could work. Itemize as a tanky core as they find Young God.
Oh, Young God. Oh, the hook misses too.
Oh my God.
How did the hook miss?
It weaved between the enemy heroes. It didn't look like it was even gunning for the gyro.
Oh,
they find Young PH at the least.
Okay. That's a good kill. That's a good one.
It's worth way more than losing Young God, so I suppose you take that in time for the day for Salvation. Not the best feeling in the world. Do find a punishment onto that Puck, who again did not go for the BKB, went for the Lincolns. So easily isolated away, and the aggro wheel's big as they find Zalrain again.
Certainly do. Zalrain, 7th kill, or rather 7th death of the game. 0 kills in the Phoenix thus far. Mid lane is still being forced in, even though they're lacking 2 heroes. They do have an Aegis on their morph, so Kish really wanted to push high ground, but his team just refuses to stop dying, so he has to leave. He'll get out.
Classic Southeast Asia. You just want to push high ground, your teammates die on the side. You have Aegis, you start to feel antsy, but you can't do anything. It is what it is, Kish. You get yourself an amp damage rune. That's a consolation. Wait for the puck for the bottle. Does feel like you're going to need a BKB up to deal with Rupita though. Like, young PH going a little bit greedy, not going for it. That silence can ruin you. Along, of course, with the chains out from Wonder Boy. So there is still a lot of play in terms of trying to lock these heroes down from the side of Salvation. And they are doing a great job of just wasting this Aegis. Basically just a farming Aegis for the side of YG. No outer towers left for Salvation, but they've got some room to come out. Satanic not too far off now for Young God. Just lacking the Morbid Mask into that Daedalus. And once you have that, you're feeling pretty big as the Gyrocopter. Your output does skyrocket. I do love the solution from Kish straight into the Scotty. So wants to take care of that regeneration, that life stealing. Young God will try to sustain himself with, and does get the bottle with the amp damage. With Aegis fading, I don't know if you really push the envelope here for YG. Might just sit out. Maybe look for a pickoff, sure, but anything further might be a bit much.
They are still just waiting outside the high ground. The base here is Satanic now completely built up on Young God. Still is YG waiting on the high ground. That perfect moment. Just waiting for a quick pick-off that they can kind of capitalize on, but you know, the side of the rating, they're being very, very cautious here, waiting for their own perfect moment. Plenty more farm to be had on this Gyrocopter, if anything. You know, it's fine.
Yeah.
No Khan to build up on Kish. She'll be going for a Daedalus next. Already having the Skadi now up on the Morphling.
I like this. I don't think you need the Conda. You don't need to focus on just trying to adaptive strike people down. Just go for the right click with the Gyrocopter form. With a flak. I'm going to feel happy about it anyhow. For Kish. Now, there is a lot of room for Salvation to grow again. You've got a Marcy going into the Basher. Wonder Boy going for some protection here with Lincolns as well. And they do scale up. So you don't necessarily mind the slower pace of game. Let's see, maybe the Roshan's going to be that next focal point. 2 minutes until we see the respawn. That should be where you start to set your eyes on for both sides. Should line up as well with Young God getting his Daedalus. The timing should just be just right for that Gyrocopter to finally have that content still. Ooh, quick one from Wonder Boy.
Certainly. Wonder Boy's alright this time around, but well, I suppose you're kind of just left waiting for Roshan, aren't you? I mean, the YG, they could go through the Twin Gates. Hey, what's that, John?
I don't like this. It's too reminiscent of the last patch. We haven't had games like this since the last patch, and now we have them. Why?
Stampede, they're going. They're going, Jonathan. Skill late. Avalanche going to land. They'll find Lloyd. Young God right by his side. We'll go for a TP play. Oh, Young God! He had the BK... he had the BKB? Is he alright? Has he... No, he hasn't.
No. Okay.
That's a big great. I mean, you could have just BKB TP.
I'm surprised he thought he could get away with that in that tree line. It's not the most hidden spot to try to TP out of.
No.
Let's get punished severely. At least he has buyback, but it's not a good position for Salvation. 11k lead widens now for Yangon. And now they can start to poke that high ground. Force some buybacks out. Still have their own BKBs ready for Kish. And they can start going. They'll just dig in. They've got the damage output.
YG. They'll go on to the mid-tier 3 tower. No contest so far. Drake, he's going to jump in, breaks the Lincolns and gets the Hex off, but there's no real follow-up, though they do get the Hex eventually here. Lloyd setting up onto the board with the Strength Ball Force there in time. Kish still alive. We'll be able to waveform to the low ground. He's alright. He makes it out. Drick is fine to survive another day, or rather the Morphling is as Drick dies. Or in the meantime, trying to take down Rupido, should have him and will. The Marcy down, the toss back play onto Lloyd. Lloyd just going down so quickly on the punch. And the Morph survived all of that. That's the worst part. They threw everything with the kitchen sink, and Kish will still just get out of there scot-free.
Yeah, they play that perfectly on Salvation, to be fair. Again, instant break on the link into the Mandrain, into the Hex, forcing some repositioning out early on. Getting connection with Lloyd. It does save their racks. It does cost them a couple of buybacks in the supports, which isn't the biggest. Side of Yangon can just sit back, wait for next Roche. Of course, 2-minute respawn. Lots of time left for Salvation to try to get some map space out for themselves as well. But you're still in a very good game state again for Yangon. Daedalus for Kish, not too far off. There's that full Ags now for young PH with that Parasma. This puck is going to be machine gunning heroes in that Dream Coil. Not going to be the best feeling in the world for Salvation. A very clumped up fight. They know where their sights are set. They are looking top. Want to clear out a fight into that Roche. Need to find a good angle in here, though.
We're going to try. Daedalus completed on the Morphling. This could be very, very bad timing here for Salvation. Chains out for a second, but it is obviously purged off here by the Lotus Orb of Hor. It's going to be a 5-man smoke. Salvation, they're going to try and wrap around the long way through that top lane. Hor is still showing, but he's a big boy. Quite hard to burst him down quick enough, but they're going to try and give it a crack. Hor still alive. The Sunray healing him up. He finally goes down, but now Kish can get right to work. Right after ripping it with the bite. Lloyd will save. Lloyd will just dismember up the Marcy, but they've lost Yangon. Oh, they've lost Yangon instead. They've lost Wonder Boy. They fall for the bait. Like, Hor is just laughing from the grave. Then what were they thinking?
I don't know. I don't know why you open up on the Centaur. It's not the target. Every time they go for young PH, fights do simplify. Heck, they could even try to hope to find Kish, but get a little bit antsy. They were under smoke. They could have snuck around.
The most obvious bait in history. Like, Hor literally just stood there like, come on, guys. You know you want it. And they were like, yeah, you know what, we do. You're right, Hor, we do want you.
They really did. It does cost them no buybacks. Racks will fall. The pressure in tier 4s. They've had enough of this game on YG. Hook.
Nice little hook. I mean, Lloyd's still landing the hooks. Lloyd's been doing a great job of that. It's kind of the classic issue with Pudge, isn't it, John? You can land all the hooks in the world, but it doesn't win you the game. Well, there we go. GG's called. Props to the Salvation Gaming boys for giving it their best crack here for the road to the international.